Hello there everybody and welcome back to Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. Fast forward a couple days from where we last left off. I do believe it's the 11th of spring. And so I've just taken the opportunity to do some stuff off screen. I'll talk a little bit about that. Just starting to develop my farm a little bit. I went and did a couple of days of part-time work for Bob. And by doing that, I was able to get enough money to buy some corn seeds. So I now have one full plot of corn and another plot of tomatoes. I'm going to stick with this for now. I don't think I'm going to buy too many more crops just because I don't want to spend all day watering. But because corn and tomatoes replenish, as long as I keep these plants healthy, they should be good enough to last me for the next couple of seasons. And then, once I feel like it, I can add on more plants as time goes on. So I'm just waiting for those to come in and fully develop so that I can harvest them. I also went ahead and I bought another egg, and I went ahead and I put that in the incubator. It looks like my egg has hatched, which is fantastic. So I now have 2 chicks. That's definitely not the name I wanted. That's a bummer. It's not gonna fit. Well, I'll have to think of another name on the spot. Alright, we'll just go with Flick, I suppose. We now have Flick and Fail. And my first chicken has now fully developed into a full-grown hen. It rained yesterday, so I had to bring her inside. The first chickens should start laying eggs tomorrow, and I'll just have to wait a couple of days for the chick to grow up. It really doesn't take that long to get a egg to hatch and then have the chick grow into a chicken, so it's very nice. It's probably only about a week in total when I think about it, which isn't a lot of time at all, so that's perfect. When eggs do start to come in, I'm going to start giving the eggs to Lewis, because Lewis really likes eggs, and I would like to start working on his event path. We saw the first event a video or 2 ago where he had given us the flute. So we need to befriend him a little bit further to see more of that. And every day is pretty much the same in this game. I go around, I give presents, I water, I take care of my animals, and then I'm home just after the sun sets. I really don't spend a lot of time playing this game, and I feel like I've pretty much said all there is to really say about it at the moment. It's very, very simple. Kind of mindless sort of gameplay, which is nice, but there are a couple of goals that I am working towards. Of course, raising money so that I can buy the very few upgrades that are available. It's also good to have money for animal medicine or extra seeds or for any other emergency that might come up. Working at Bob's is a pretty good way to get money at the beginning of the game, like I mentioned. And unfortunately, in this game, that's the only part-time job that you're able to do. In the PSP game, Hero of Leaf Valley, which is essentially a clone of this game, but with better graphics and whatnot, there's a lot more to do, the map's a lot bigger, and you have a lot more part-time chores available to you. But that's alright. The one really isn't that bad if you're not doing it every single day. If you were doing it all the time, it would definitely get very repetitive. So now what I think I'll do is I'll head over to the other side of town. There's not really a whole lot here. I've done most of the foraging that's available. Of course, I have to wait for things to grow back, which does take a couple of days. So some days I really don't have anything to do because there's not even anything for me to forage or anything like that. Those days sort of suck. But that's alright. If we take a look at Lewis's store, there are a couple of upgrades that I'm going to be working on for when we get a cow finally. A brush is very cheap. It's 300 gold, which really isn't that bad. The milker's a little bit pricey, so you'll want to keep your eye on that prize if you are hoping to get a cow, because you're not able to milk your cows by hand in this game, from what I remember, so you absolutely do need the milker. And there's also a sickle upgrade. Again, if you have a cow or you have horses and you need to chop down your field in order to create fodder, having a more powerful sickle is going to be very useful because it will save you a lot of stamina. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind for what we want to spend our money on. I have a fairly decent amount of cash right now, but nowhere near being able to afford all of those upgrades, so that's just... damn it. I hate that. That's just something I'm gonna have to keep working on. It's really hard sometimes to get the right angle when you're giving gifts, and if, you know, you don't have it lined up just right, you'll throw the item instead of giving it away. That's something I always found frustrating, especially if it's a really good item or something rare. But that's alright, it was just a crummy flower. It wasn't anything, you know, that I really have to worry too much about. Nothing spectacular. This is pretty much the end of the line. I've been everywhere else I want to go today. So I'll just pick up the few things here. And then I think I'll go home and rest. Couple berries, couple flowers. Maybe I'll give Martha and Dia and Gina, if I can find her, some presents. You know, just because, just to be nice. I did mention that I'm only really going to be focusing on a few friendships, but because it's so easy to give really cheap or free gifts to people, sometimes I just can't resist. And what time is it? It's only 5:30. I'm pretty much done everything that I wanted to do today at 5:30 in the afternoon. Which is very bizarre to think about. There are some Harvest Moon games where you'll be taking care of animals, or you'll be, you know, taking care of your crops or whatever, and time passes, and you totally forget that it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night. But that's okay, it'll just let our farmer get his beauty sleep. I'm just gonna quickly check the weather. It tends to rain a lot in spring. My first time playing this game, I had sun at the beginning of the season, and then halfway through it practically did nothing except for rain. I didn't have a sunny day for weeks at a time. It was awful. And now we are back at square one. So there's a couple things that I can do, I suppose, but again, it's basically just going to be exactly what I did yesterday. As you can see here, like I had said earlier, if you leave the chickens outside, they will lay eggs outside and they'll feed themselves, so as long as you check the weather, you shouldn't have to worry about your animals at all. I've been leaving food out for the stray dogs, which is something I haven't mentioned because from what I understand, I'm not totally sure how it works. I'm going to have to look up a little bit more information about it. But from what I understand, what you do is you feed the wild dogs by putting food into that food bowl. And over time, because you feed the dogs and you're nice to them, you sort of work up your friendship with them. Then what you can do is you can chase them around town, grab them, and once you have a hold of the dog, you can name it and make it your pet. The last time I had a dog, I just sort of grabbed one by accident and really didn't realize what I was doing. So we will be getting a dog at some point. It's not really a super high priority for me at the moment, but if we do get a dog, it may be able to help us out with our livestock when and if we ever get to the point of having livestock, and it will also allow me to use my flute that Lewis had given to us. Another thing that I forgot to mention that's really crappy when it rains is that you can't trigger a lot of the events. A lot of events that happen for people's specific paths, specific event paths, will only happen when it's sunny. And that happens a lot with hard events and whatnot in other Harvest Moon games, so it's not totally uncommon, but it really is a huge bummer in this game because you have such a limited amount of time to do everything that if you have rain for 2 weeks straight, that's 2 weeks of lost time that you'll never get back. And some events take a really long time to trigger and work your way up towards triggering it. But hopefully I don't hit that bit of bad luck this time around. I do like rain because it helps me out. I don't have to water, and those are the days when I can really go out and give everybody gifts and just sort of take my time and relax. But rain for a week or 2 weeks straight really isn't fun for anybody. There's no music playing, there's no people out in the valley. It's a really dull, sort of quiet environment. I think your farmer would be better off sitting indoors and reading a book on those days, to be quite honest. But that's not an option in this game, so alas, we have to go out and work in the rain. I haven't come across any sort of storms yet, which is nice. Sometimes in spring and summer in some of the games, you'll have like a typhoon or a windstorm or something, and it will come and completely obliterate all of your crops and all of the hard work that you've done. But that doesn't happen in this game. Some of the NPCs will tell you that if it rains too many days in a row and there's too much water, your crops will flood, sort of thing. Like, they'll have almost too much water and then they'll wilt because of that. But I haven't seen that happen. I think there'd have to be an awful lot of rain for anything like that to happen. But, you know, if it does, we're gonna see that in action. I'll be very sad, but that's alright. I'll deal with it if that comes. Alright, so I gave a gift to Basil. I think what I'll do is I'll go visit Lila and Lewis. And then I'll probably just end up ending things off and playing for a couple more days. I'm trying to be very careful about playing because I don't want to miss any events if they come up, but I don't want to play every single day because every day is really very much the same. Like, we're only 5 videos in and I'm already having difficulties finding things to talk about. But that's alright, we'll make it through. I'll try and make it as entertaining as possible. And I guess while I'm here, because I have a little bit of money, I can buy the brush. I don't think I need all $900 that I have at the moment. And then that gives me a good indication of how much more money I have to save in order to get the other upgrades. And that brush will just stay in my inventory until I get a horse or a cow. That's another thing I can save up for, is a cow, because they cost $2,500, which is a pretty expensive price tag for a cow, considering how little money you get in this game in comparison to other games. Alright, so I think it's just about almost going to be the evening time. It starts to get kind of dark around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then it's completely pitch black, I think, by about 6 o'clock at night. So you really don't have a lot of daylight hours either. Another thing that I've been doing that I forgot to mention is I've been using my sickle to get lots of fodder for when I do get some animals. I usually just stick to cutting, you know, one little section of the field, waiting for it to grow back, and then cutting it again. You really don't need a lot of grass in order to make fodder, and if you're just stockpiling it, if you just do a little bit each day, it'll really pile up very quickly. I don't have a lot of stamina either, so I've basically just been cutting a 3x3 square or a 6x6 square each day, and then coming back and doing the same thing the next day. So then at least I know when I get animals, if I have the urge to have a full barn of cows and horses, then I will be able to do that and I won't have to worry about buying food. I also went out and I bought more chicken feed, just because I knew that I was going to be getting another chicken. I think I've got 10 bags now, 7. And I knew that last time I played I was having a lot of rain in spring, so I've done a little bit of pre-preparing because I really don't want my animals to get sick. And this game is very unforgiving if your animal gets sick and dies, so you definitely don't want that to happen. Because I've had that happen as well, and everybody gives you heck for it. So hopefully we're going to be a good little farmer this time around and we won't have any sort of farm catastrophes and whatnot. I think that's it for me though. We played 2 days worth and you saw a little bit of what I've been doing in my day-to-day life in the valley here. So if anything interesting comes up or I have anything to tell you guys, I'll be sure to come back and do another video. Again, I'll probably go ahead and just skip a few days. So anyways, I will see you then. Thank you for watching.